Thank you very much, Ms. Prakash, for having introduced us all the characteristics of the trading services of the Asian Pacific countries, and by showing us your excellent tables and graphs. The next speaker is Professor Urata from Japan.
Thank you very much, Haraoka-san, for the introduction. As we heard, trading services cover a wide ranging of activities, and I have decided to focus on digital economy. The reason why I've chosen this is because I don't know much about it, so I wanted to study digital economy. And digital economy, or development in digital economy, bring about the new opportunities and challenges. And that's how I look at the digital economy. Let's see. How do I go forward? Sorry. Okay. Specifically, I'm looking at the following developments. Digitalization of economic activities, one, and then datafication of the economic activities. These are two aspects that I have focused on. First, as I said, digitalization of economic activities bring about many benefits and some challenges. And some of the benefits include the following: very new development in my eyes. And they are likely to replace existing trading goods and maybe even trading services. The example that I'm thinking about is, for example, development of 3D printing. And now, by using this technology, you can transmit the data, information from one country to another, say like blueprints, or producing, say, a table like this. And then instead of exporting table itself, you can export the data, and then the recipient of this data can create or can build a table like this. So that's the very new, I guess, development, in my view anyway. And what it does, it creates some problems. Of course, this is a challenge in a similar vein, challenge which may come out from, say, liberalization of trade policy. By liberalizing trade policy, you will have more competition, and non-competitive firms, industry have to exit from the industry. And so this is a kind of same, I guess, challenge that the economy has to face. In other words, challenge coming out from increased competition. Another example which I wanted to mention is the, say, because of digital development in digital economy, that may replace actual movement of people. I'm thinking about, say, medical doctors or professors like us. Instead of a person, say, moving from, say, from Japan to India to give lectures, you can give lectures being in Japan, and the recipient stay in India by, internet or whatever media. And that can be done not only for like teaching, but like a medical surgery, for example. So that will have a great challenge on the profession, like professors. I may lose my job. I am sure that I will lose job if I have to compete against very competitive teachers from all over the world. So again, that requires so-called trade adjustment. And here, I think the government has a very important role to play to provide, technical assistance, maybe education, retraining, and so on. Maybe temporary protection, not a permanent protection. Of course, temporary protection. Under this temporary protection, those who may get hurt can adjust. So what it means is that we need very good like trade adjustment assistance program to deal with these challenges. And okay, so that's how did you do this? Sorry, this one. Oh, second one. Okay, sorry. And then datafication. That, I mean, we have a big data, and now we can utilize, all the companies and people can use the data which is collected by many agencies. And that, of course, will benefit the users of data. They can, say, maximize the objectives. They can achieve objectives by using these data efficiently, effectively. And in order to promote this kind of activities, we need to have an environment which allows free flow of data and so on. So that's a benefit that we can expect. And particularly, I guess this is a point made by J.S. Harrison early in the previous session. It is SMEs that can benefit from this kind of development. Before datafication was possible, it was big companies which can afford collecting data and maybe storing this data. And SMEs didn't have a choice to access this data. But now, if this data, big data is available to SMEs, assuming that there's a fair competition in the industry, so-called, if the level playing field is established, then SMEs can really benefit from using this big data. And that is what I think the government can provide. But at the same time, this datafication creates some problems because of the economies of scale and economies of scope. Companies with the datafication, superstar firms are likely to emerge unless appropriate competition policy is applied. And that may lead to like digital wars between not only companies, but also between countries. We are seeing some of these developments in the contemporary world. Another challenge is to provide the protection of privacy. And in order to deal with all these challenges, it is important for the region or the world to have rules, clear and explicit rules on the digital economy. And for this, one maybe possible example that we can look at is the chapter on e-commerce in comprehensive and progressive TPP. And another that states no discrimination, consumer and personal protection should be given, free cross-border transfer of information, no localization policy, and so on. And then I think there's a good development taking place. One of them is the kind of agreement between the US, EU, and Japan on they agreed that it is very important to establish business-friendly environment for the promotion of digital economy, and I hope this kind of activity will be pursued smoothly so that we'll have an environment where we can benefit from such developments in digital economy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Urata, for your having a well-focused presentation on the digital economy. And our last speaker is Professor Jian Jianping. He's a distinguished Chinese economist from Chinese Academy of International Trade and Economic Cooperation. Professor Jian, please. You have 5 minutes.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. mentioned the digital economy. The first thing I'd like to mention, e-commerce. In Guangdong province, all of you know this province, a father owned a traditional factory to produce cakes every day. But the son, tired of this type of low profit, traditional business, and told his father, I would not accept your business model, and I will do e-business. And then the son started to sell products on the website. Rapidly, this son got a lot of profit, and then the father had given up his old business and just providing a parcel service for his son. So that story, I visited when I visited Guangdong province, and I heard this story. And in that small village, all of young generation today are busy with e-commerce and get profit. And today in China, e-business is booming and booming, so that if you look at China's domestic consumption, every year, e-business consumption climbing up by 30 to 50% growth rate. And also, for China's imports, a lot of goods from overseas by this channel. And then, we said that this is a new business model and a new growth points. But here, this field is facing with some of challenges, just like mentioned by Professor Ulata, privacy issues. Also, that for tax tools, both for import goods and in other countries, maybe Russian or other countries say that, so a lot of small parcels from China, and if we need to, have additional, tariffs on those small parcels, these type of things. So in this regard, I think that WTO need to consider, how to, regulate this type of new business model. Also, I heard that in EU countries, a lot of, scholars, when they need to discuss, e-commerce, and they say that, okay, without Chinese participants, we would not discuss this type of issues because Chinese side is playing very important role on this aspect. And the second thing that is fintech. One of my Hong Kong friend, when this guy wanted to visit Forbidden City, and he was very disappointed, and he told me that, oh, come on, I just like to buy a ticket. But when I went to the, in front of the Forbidden City, there was no any, ticket box, and no person responsible for this type of things. I have to apply my ticket on website, and to pay for by, Alipay or WeChat Pay. So if you want to visit the Forbidden City today, you have to ready, on the website. So actually, in China right now, Alipay and WeChat Pay are very, very popular in every aspect. When you take a taxi and you pay your goods both on web or in a small store, something like that. So I think that fintech also will be another trend for economy. But I think that in this field also we need to have relative rules and regulations both domestically and internationally. Especially I like to emphasize on that both fintech and e-commerce will seriously relying on infrastructure. That you have to access to electricity, and you have to have your smartphone. You also have your e-business model, and meanwhile those people maybe should have more qualified to operate e-business. So in this regard, we also need to provide more and more training courses and educations for those human resources. So for trading services in China, actually today it's a big economy, but China is suffering from huge trade deficits every year. That I noticed that President Trump never mentioned their trade surplus on trade in service from Chinese side. Also, you know that in China, if you look at China's service sector's contribution to China's GDP, below 52%. So that's why nowadays, Chinese side is encouraged to promote service sector's development. Meanwhile, we are started to open more and more opening China's service sectors in many free trade experimental zones, such as Shanghai, Guangdong, Tianjin, including 12 provinces. Right nowadays, they have their new, opening up platforms. So we hope that on those platforms, both those FDI inflow, concentrated in service sectors, as well as China's domestic capitals concentrated in these sectors, and by competition, and then our service sectors could be, upgraded, and then, our, service sectors competition also gradually will be upgraded. So in this regard, from Chinese side, we are strongly support, WTO related negotiations, such as, TISA, this type of, platform from Chinese side. Maybe in the near future, actually nowadays we wanted to join. I hope that in the future we can join that negotiation. Also, we are confirmly supporting RCEP negotiation, both for trading services and trading goods negotiations. Meanwhile, Chinese side is aiming for more complicated, more to negotiate and